there's a quiet tragedy hidden in plain sight. It wears adult expressions on a child's face. It speaks with wisdom that shouldn't yet exist. It carries burdens no small shoulders were meant to hold. Today, we're diving into the psychology of a child who grew up too fast. A phenomenon that shapes millions of lives, yet remains whispered about in hushed tones, acknowledged in knowing glances, understood only by those who've lived it. Picture this: a 7-year-old making breakfast for their siblings, a 9-year-old navigating their mother's depression, a 12-year-old becoming the family translator, therapist, and mediator. These aren't scenes from a novel. They're snapshots from real childhoods interrupted, accelerated, transformed. Growing up too fast isn't about hitting puberty early or being mature for your age. It's about being forced to abandon childhood before your developmental clock says you're ready. Psychologists call this phenomenon parentification, when children take on parental roles. But the reality encompasses so much more. It's the theft of innocence through circumstance, the premature death of play, replaced by responsibility, the acceleration of emotional development while parts of you remain frozen in time, creating a person who is simultaneously too old and too young, an emotional paradox walking through life. Children who grow up too fast become experts at wearing masks. They learn to perform adulthood while their inner child screams for attention. From the outside, they appear remarkably capable, eerily mature, impressively responsible. Teachers praise them. Adults admire them. So mature for their age, they say, not realizing they're witnessing a survival adaptation, not a gift. But what does this really look like inside? Imagine carrying an invisible backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents a responsibility that shouldn't be yours. Managing adult emotions, maintaining family stability, suppressing your own needs, reading the room for danger, predicting others' reactions to keep the peace. By age 10, that backpack weighs more than you do. By 20, you've forgotten you're even carrying it. It simply becomes part of who you are. From a neurological perspective, chronic stress in childhood fundamentally rewires the developing brain. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning, decision-making, and emotional regulation, develops prematurely in certain areas while remaining underdeveloped in others. The amygdala, your brain's alarm system, becomes hypervigilant, constantly scanning for threats that may never come. This creates what psychologists call hypervigilance, a state of perpetual alertness. You become a master observer, reading microexpressions, detecting mood shifts, anticipating needs before they're voiced. It's a survival superpower that comes with a devastating cost. You can never truly relax. Even in safety, your nervous system remembers danger. Parentification comes in two forms: instrumental and emotional. Instrumental parentification involves physical responsibilities: cooking, cleaning, childcare, managing finances. Emotional parentification is more insidious, becoming your parent's confidant, therapist, emotional regulator, or mediator. Both steal your childhood, but emotional parentification cuts deeper. When a child becomes their parent's emotional support, the natural hierarchy inverts. The child learns that their worth is measured by their usefulness, their emotional availability, their ability to fix unfixable situations. They learn to sacrifice their needs so completely that eventually, they forget they have needs at all. Here's where it gets complex. Children who grow up too fast often become remarkably capable adults. They're reliable, empathetic, perceptive, and responsible. They excel in careers requiring emotional intelligence. They become the friends everyone relies on, the partners who anticipate needs, the employees who go above and beyond. But this competence is built on quicksand. Beneath the capable exterior lies a person who never learned to trust others, who feels guilty asking for help, who believes love must be earned through service, who can care for everyone except themselves, who mistakes hypervigilance for intuition, people-pleasing for kindness, self-sacrifice for love. The psychological toll manifests in patterns that persist across decades. Chronic guilt becomes your baseline emotion. You feel guilty for resting, for having needs, for not doing enough, even when you're already doing everything. This guilt stems from the impossible position you were placed in as a child. You couldn't fix what was broken, but you felt responsible anyway. Relationships become complicated equations. You're drawn to people who need rescuing because that dynamic feels like home. Healthy relationships where you're allowed to receive feel uncomfortable, suspicious even. You test partners by withdrawing support, waiting for them to prove they won't leave when you're not useful. Achievement becomes an addiction. You chase success not from passion but from a desperate need to prove your worth. The moving goalposts of accomplishment promise that maybe, just maybe, if you achieve enough, you'll finally earn the unconditional love you never received. Your body remembers what your mind tries to forget. Chronic childhood stress manifests physically. Tension headaches, digestive issues, autoimmune conditions, chronic fatigue. Your body learned early that the world isn't safe, and it maintains that belief at a cellular level. Sleep becomes problematic. Your nervous system struggles to down-regulate. You have nightmares or insomnia. Your body doesn't remember what true rest feels like because childhood never offered it. One of the most profound consequences is the identity confusion that emerges in adulthood. When you spend your childhood being who others need you to be, you never develop a sense of who you actually are. Your personality becomes a carefully curated response to your environment rather than an authentic expression of self. This creates an existential void. Who am I when no one needs me? What do I want when I'm not trying to manage everyone else's emotions? What brings me joy when I'm not earning my worth through service? These questions can trigger a quarter-life or midlife crisis as the accumulated weight of living for others becomes unsustainable. Healing isn't about erasing your past or pretending it didn't shape you. It's about integration, acknowledging the child you were, the teenager you never got to be, and the adult you're becoming. Therapy, particularly approaches like internal family systems or EMDR, can help you reconnect with your inner child. You begin to understand that your hyper-responsibility was a survival strategy, not a personality trait. You learn to distinguish between authentic care and compulsive caretaking. Reparenting yourself becomes essential. You give yourself the permission you never received, to play, to rest, to make mistakes, to need others, to exist without justification. You learn that your worth isn't measured by your utility. Setting boundaries feels like betrayal at first. Your nervous system rebels. The guilt intensifies. But gradually, you discover that saying no doesn't make you selfish. It makes you honest. It makes space for authentic connection rather than transactional relationships. This isn't about toxic positivity or finding silver linings in trauma. But there's truth in acknowledging that your experience, while stealing your childhood, also gave you profound gifts. Your empathy isn't superficial, it's bone deep. Your perceptiveness serves you. Your resilience is real. The goal isn't to discard these qualities, but to choose them consciously rather than enacting them compulsively. To use your empathy to connect, not to disappear. To employ your perceptiveness for understanding, not just for maintaining safety. To express your resilience by honoring your needs, not just by denying them. If you're someone who grew up too fast, know this: your adulthood can be different. The patterns can be broken. The burden can be set down. You can learn to be both responsible and carefree, both capable and vulnerable, both strong and in need of support. Your childhood was interrupted, but your healing doesn't have to be. You survived by growing up fast. Now you can thrive by giving yourself permission to finally be young, to be playful, spontaneous, messy, uncertain, and wonderfully, beautifully human.